and welcome to an Everyday Canines video. In this episode on the Distance Handling 101 Foundation Skills series, we're looking at stage 3 of our 2-bowl game. So if you've worked through the previous stages, you've got a dog that drives between 2 bowls and is now working to around a cone with you roughly a couple of feet away, okay? And they're doing that reliably without choosing to cut in or do that. So you want to at least have had 2 sessions where your dog is doing this behaviour back and forth without a mistake, preferably 3, because we want a good understanding here. Now what we're going to do is starting to add distance. So now what we're actually looking at is teaching our dog to drive away from us to do something. So I've put my cone out here, and this marker here, which is a wing, is set at 6 metres. Obviously this is dependent on what sort of space you've got, but you could obviously take this to a park or something like that. But this is now a 6 metre distance. 6 metres is a good distance to be working with if we bear in mind that the minimum distance between obstacles on an agility course is 5 metres in the UK under Kennel Club rules. So 6 metres is just over that. So you can imagine this could be the distance between 2 obstacles. In an ideal world, my dog might be able to choose to go, so I'll go back, this whole field is 25 metres, and I would go to the end and my dog could still choose to get out there to that cone. However, there comes a point when there's a big space in the middle where the dog could get lost between the 2 obstacles. And I thought about this for a long time, because when I was first doing this game I thought, do you know what, I'm going to get it so that I can stand over there and my dog will parrot there without me saying anything. And then I thought about it, and it's particularly with Swift, not so much Magpie but Swift. I noticed that the further and further I got away from the cone, the less confident she became. She knew how to do that behaviour when she's close to. The more and more distance I got, she started to go, do you still want me to do that? It's a long way off. So I asked myself, is there a point where actually we want to have a cue for this so they know they've got to drive out and do that? They're still having to drive out and do the obstacle, but they've got there's an optimum distance where they do it purely without word, and then it should be based on them having some cue to understand that's their job, that's what they've got to do. So I decided at this point that I wasn't going to try and push the behaviour that I'm now going to show you to as far as I could in width ways, but I was going to stick at 6 metres and then add another stage in. So that was my thinking. I mean, obviously if you wanted to and you thought your dog would, you could go right to the end of how far you want and see if the dog will drive out. But there's a point we've got to bear in mind with dog vision as well. How well can they see that cone at a distance? You know, you have to ask yourself this, because dogs' vision is not the same as ours. I can see that cone really well when I'm over here, but would my dog? So maybe helping them by saying, giving them the cue when it gets to a certain distance would actually assist them more than if I just try and let them find it. Are they going to get confused? So this was that balancing game between getting an understanding but building clarity and not confusing the dog and leaving them in limbo. This moment of time, I think the optimum distance is 5 to 6 metres. I'm still working on getting Swift to do 5 metres confidently, to be fair, but Magpie will do it lovely. Okay, so how are we going to play this game? Once you've set up your distance and you've got a marker, don't expect to do this whole distance in one session. You may do if your dog is very driven, but it may not happen. I would rather you take this slowly and keep the confidence up and not get lots of mistakes creeping in than to push too hard too fast and then have your dog cutting back or hesitating or whatever. We're going to put our bowls out, and our bowls are going to be level with us the whole way we do this. Now I'm starting further back than you probably would because we're going to go through this quite quickly, but you might start here. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to release her. What I want to see her doing is the same behaviour you've just witnessed, where she goes back and forth. Okay. Nice, good girl. And look what happened. Yes, she drove across the middle. Now I wasn't expecting that. Let's see what she does this time. Good girl, yes. But that's good to show that even though she's experienced, yes, she made a mistake. But then she corrected herself and realised that that isn't going to get her anything, yes. Now, I have noticed that my dogs are better when they're going on my left side, starting on my left, than on my right side. This is their less confident side. Yes. Good girl. Okay, sit. Because I know this, I always try and finish with my dog going on my right side, to make that the one they remember. So I do know that sometimes they get this side wrong. For some reason, I'm not sure what it is. I think it must be something to do with my handling or whatever. But my dogs always prefer going this side. This side's great, this side not so good. She's doing that nicely. Yes, there was one mistake, but it was just a little mistake and then she corrected herself. So I'm going to move further back. Now I'm going this faster than you would. I'm nearly a halfway distance now. Wait. Okay, balls out. Go start her on, so this is the good side. I'm going to start her on the good side and finish on the bad side. So she remembers the bad side, the less confident side, as the one she ends on, but I always start her on the good side. Okay, nice, good girl. Yes, good girl. Yes, so she is now choosing to go out away from me. Yes, good girl. Yes, good girl. And now she's going to stall because this is the yes. I was actually going to stop her on that one, but she stalled because that's her less confident side. Yes. Yes, so I'm going to wait and I'm going to finish her on a really confident one because that's the side she hesitates on for whatever reason. So now we'd keep doing this, and each session we go back and back and back. Now I can get back. Now obviously, as I said, I've done this a lot quicker than you would. You would not be going from the middle to this point in one session. You'd be taking one step back at a time and work it back, maybe a metre at a time, depending on how confident your dog is. I think it took me a couple of weeks to go from, I got to 3 metres really quickly with Pi, and then getting that next couple of metres, or 3 metres, it took longer. So I got to 3 metres quite quick, then I had to take it slower because that's when the bit of confidence came in. But you see what we're doing? We're teaching the dog to drive out away from us. Okay, balls out. These just help, these just give the dog something to run to. Now, you could throw your food on the floor. Sit. But the problem is I found that they lose it. And especially on grass, they start to sniff. It breaks up the game, which is frustrating because then they start losing distraction and focus. Especially Swift, she'll then go off on a sniffy hunt for the treat. So having something that is there and they know it's going to be there gives them something to, it gives me something to put the reward in. So I don't lose the reward. I don't have to worry so much about my throw, which is kind of shocking. And it means that we keep the game flowing because we want this to be a ping pong. We don't want this to be a go around, I stop for a bit, I sniff for a while, then I get back onto it, okay? We want to build up that drive and confidence. Okay. Yes, good girl. Yes, good girl. I'm just going to move those out a little bit more. So she cut across. Why'd she cut across? Because the treat box is here. Well, the treat box may be there, my lovely, but you can't get it. So I'm going to set her up again, just because we set her. Yes. Ah, silly Sophie. Sophie said yes before you did the turn. Nose. So I did that, and she looked back at me. She thought she'd done something good. Okay, so shut this. Yes. Good girl. I want the yes as she's going around the cones, then she drives back fast. So we're stalling a little bit. Just going to wait. Yes, good girl. So you can see we're reaching the point where she's not so sure. This is where the confidence starts to leave her. We've only done 6 metres once. So she's going to stall a little bit. She's not so sure. She'd like me to give her a clue. Is this what you want, Mum? So I'm just waiting. If she got really frustrated and she was really struggling, I'd move a step in. This is where I'm really rubbish at shaping because I get impatient. So let's just wait and see what she does. This is the point where she's working it out. This is the point where I usually give up and go, all right, I'll help you. But let's see if she can work it out. You see the difference it makes just having that little bit of distance? That's just thrown her. because you could see when we were close to, she was great. This is also what I mean about potentially there being too much distance, a possibility of putting too much distance in, and that actually knocks their confidence, because they actually start to question it, and we don't want that. At the same time, we don't want the dog running out and just taking everything in its path. There is a treat there, you are quite right. I didn't realise it myself. All right, so she sat herself down, so I'm going to reset her again. Ready? Okay. So we had a little bit of a reset there. Good. There you are. Look. Yes. Let's see if we can get past this hurdle. This is what I mean when it doesn't get in the bowl, there's a lot of sniffing going on. Yes, she chose to go the wrong way, but she did still go out and drive to the cone. Yes, good girl. Yes, good girl. Getting too soon with the yes. Confused her. Yes, good girl. So I'm being careful it's not jumping out of the bowl. Yes. We'll also note that Swift the magpie, this is the third video we've been doing on this game, she's probably getting a little bit tired as well. So that's also, I always do this when you're fresh. We've filmed 3 videos now, haven't we? So that's why she's not quite doing as much as she normally would. Yes. So this time, if she drives out nicely round there, I'm going to reward her on the left. Yes, good girl. Big reward, good girl. Remove the bowls, remove the game. Yes, good girl. Finish her on that. Okay. So you saw where we are up to on this skill. And as I said, that's why I'm finding they get sticky when they get past that 5 metre, 6 metre. She's good at 6 metres, Swift getting to 5 metres is iffy. That's when they start to question it. Now, I say, it all depends on the level of your dog's drive and their willingness to go out beyond a certain distance. Some dogs are better than others at getting into the distance. She's not so confident, that's why we've still got to build it up. So that's why I'm not pushing her to go back 10 metres, for instance, which was my original thinking to do this cone. Because at this point, I know I've got that behaviour. Next thing I want to do is start adding a cue to it. So that'll be what will happen in the next video, is we'll start looking at adding a cue to it, so then we can hopefully build up more and more distance. So I hope you've enjoyed this Everyday Canines video, and if you have, you might like to subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram, and I hope to see you all again very, very soon.